right, good morning, Ms. King. Would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and DOC number, please.
My name is Stephanie King. My DOC number is 171394.
Right, and you have counsel with you this morning. Sir, would you introduce yourself?
Good morning, Mr. Renazzo. Robert Lancaster with LSU Law Clinic here today, representing Stephanie King. If the committee would like, I can also introduce the support here at LCIW.
Please.
We have Cindy DeCuire here. Gail Willers is here also. And then Chaplain Thompson Williams.
Okay, and is anybody there going to speak on her behalf?
Yes, ma'am. Ms. DeCuire is going to speak on her behalf.
Thank you. And here we also have the Parole Project who's joined us by Zoom. We have also on Zoom Jamie Likus. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that name. Here we have Christy Sheremy, Desi Tucker, Laura Davis, Melissa Portion, Terry Rainier. Okay. In opposition, we have Pamela Blanchett and Ed Riley. And you've been through the process before, Ms. King, so you know the process. So I'll just jump right in. And so you're currently, you're classified rather as a third felony offender. You're currently serving a 67-year, 8-month, and 15-day sentence. You have convictions in January of 1988, possession with intent to distribute marijuana, 2 counts, 1 in Terrebonne, 1 in Lafourche. Those are sentencing dates. September 1991, distribution of cocaine in Terrebonne. And then September of 1998, manslaughter and armed robbery in St. Mary Parish. So this is a rehearing for you. You were previously denied. I think you had 2 favorable votes. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And so let's talk about what's happened since your last hearing. The reason you were denied, you had strong opposition, you had poor supervision history, and of course, probably none of that has changed. So what has changed since then?
Me. I have a letter here. Maybe that would be the best way to start this out.
Sure.
Or you could talk about all the programs you've had since the last one, like all the Tulane, all the mentorship, the taking over the Unveiled magazine.
Since my last hearing, I have completed several classes. I've completed the trauma healing facilitator class where I'm an approved facilitator now. I'm still in Tulane. I have completed a hospice training program. I'm a mentor in the reentry court program. I took over for Gail as the editor of the Unveiled magazine, and I have supervised the visitation photos and Simple Treasures here at LCIW. I'm in victim impact right now. I think it ends on the 20th maybe of this month. I just finished job life skills. I'm waiting on my diploma. I just got ServSafe certified on the 23rd of August. And I've just been active doing whatever they needed done and just taking whatever classes I can take.
You've been busy.
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you been in jail altogether?
27.5 years.
Right. You mentioned that you're enrolled now in the victim impact program.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us about how that, what are you getting out of that? How has that affected you? if at all?
Well, I've had a lot of time to think about the impact on my victims, and the things that happened, but the class has made me realize that they have a lot of effects that you don't think about maybe initially, or you don't think about when you're going through life or whatever, but I've seen it from just a different perspective, and it's made me think about what if that was my family, or those kind of different things.
So for the record, once again, I'm going to ask you, what was your role in this crime?
Well, I know a lot of people feel like that I knew beforehand what was going to happen, but I honestly didn't really know what was going to happen, but it doesn't matter that I knew or didn't know. I was sitting in the car and I saw what happened, and I didn't go and report the crime. I ran.
Out of all the programs that you've taken, which was the most impactful?
I couldn't hear what you just said.
Of all the programs, you've logged over 1,000 hours of CTRP credits.
Yes, ma'am.
Of all those programs that you have completed, which has been the most impactful? Which one did you get the most out of, and why?
Honestly, the program that did the most for me emotionally, spiritually, and educationally would be the New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary. Because it helped me to organize my faith and to be able to help other people in a way that I was already helping people, but I wasn't equipped the way that I maybe am equipped now to help other people. And the other thing I've done that's been the most impactful is teach the residential drug abuse program for the reentry court, because I share my real experiences with drugs with those girls that just have a short amount of time. And it's harder to reach the people that are here a short time, because when you do a long time, when you reach like your 7-year mark and your 10-year mark and your 15-year mark, your thinking changes, and we don't have that opportunity with them. So by sharing what happened to me, sometimes it helps them to see what they might fall into if they're not careful.
So how has your thinking changed?
I don't even recognize the person who was arrested 27 years ago. I'm nothing like that person anymore.
All right. I have read all the information in the record. I wasn't on your last panel, but I've read everything that Mr. Lancaster has provided in the EOC, so I don't have any other questions. You have any questions? All right, so we'll just move on now and hear from the warden. Warden Thomas, what can you tell us about Ms. King?
Good morning. Yes, like Ms. King has said, she has done quite a few additional things since she had last been before the board, most notably with Tulane. And I think, she's also mentioned how inspired she gets by working with the reentry program participants and being a mentor. And that really is actually a big help to us as well. So she is helpful with the staff. She has taken over the Unveiled magazine in the past year and done a great job with that. Anything we need from her, she's willing to do. We've had no issues with Ms. King, since I've been here. She is minimum custody and, no write-ups or disciplinary issues since I've been here. So no negative comments on my end.
Yeah, I wanted to mention, I noticed that the last write-up was in 2015, some time ago.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. So we'll hear from the folks who want to speak on her behalf. Could we hear from Ms. Willers first?
Mr. Queer.
Queer.
Mr. Queer will speak.
Okay. I'm sorry, yeah, I did know that she's.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Cynthia DeCure, and I'm here on behalf of Miss Stephanie King. Not only as her support, but also as a mother of an incarcerated daughter and also a victim of her daughter's crime. There's no way to explain the gratitude that I have for Miss King and the other mentors at the time that my daughter was admitted into a DOC facility back in 2016. She has been an inspiration, not only to my daughter, but to many, many other women who have walked through these doors. And I'm asking and begging that, pleading that you recognize all of her positives, because Stephanie is no longer the woman that she was back when she committed her crime. To the victims, I'm walking in your shoes, and I plead that you somehow one day obtain forgiveness and that you're able to walk free from your pain. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Queer. We appreciate your remarks this morning. Could we hear from the Parole Project?
Yes, good morning. Kerry Myers with Louisiana Parole Project. We have, since Ms. King's last hearing, we have continued to support her, continued to work with her. As you can see, what she's done since her last hearing, instead of taking a denial as defeat, she's turned it into something even more positive, continuing to do the work that she's been doing, continuing to help other people, continuing to inspire other women who are in similar situations. We're prepared. Parole Project is prepared to provide long-term support to Ms. King, our long-term housing support, employment opportunity support, programmatic support that includes financial, social connections with our social worker, consumer skills, all the other support that she is going to need through her transition. Ms. King has just, again, continues to be a positive role model, continues to move forward, hasn't let adversity at all detract from her path. And her path has been, and her trajectory has been up ever since we've been involved with Ms. King. So we just ask this board to grant her parole today.
Thank you. All right, I don't see any other speakers. So before we turn it over to Mr. Lancaster, Ms. King, is there any, well, excuse me, I'm sorry, we do have on behalf of the victim, we have Ms. Pamela Blanchett. Are you going to speak today? Baker? Morning. Good morning. My name is Pamela Blanchett. I am the oldest granddaughter of Wilmer Blanchard Sr. I represent the family. My mother, the second oldest of the family clan, there were 11 siblings, and her siblings are very elderly and no longer able to participate. Since our last meeting, we have lost 5 members who spent tireless hours on this whole case, most of the time on the appeals of Ronald Juliet, Stephanie's ex. I became more involved when they could no longer be involved in the cases due to their health and their age. I was rather naive to the judicial process and have been involved in all of Stephanie's hearings. Some things that I would like to state from these past hearings, Stephanie's made some comments as well. Stephanie at one time stated that she was afraid because of Ronald's temper and abuse. On the day that Ronald murdered my grandfather, she could have fled in car and called law enforcement. She literally watched while Ronald drove my grandfather's truck in the war. She may not have been able to save my grandfather, but she could have saved us a lot of anguish and grief, wondering if our grandfather was alive or dead. People searching for him for 5 days. Then she wouldn't have been charged originally as accomplice to first-degree murder. The next day, when Ronald left his home in search of more money for their drug habit, she could have fled then and contacted the law enforcement. He stabbed a woman 29 times. I think I've received statements from her as well. Beat her over the head with a crowbar and left her to die. Stephanie was not responsible for that one, but she fled with him in Knoxville, Tennessee. Stephanie was originally charged with accomplice to first-degree murder. She pleaded bargained to get her sentence reduced to manslaughter, or she would be serving life in prison. Stephanie stated that her mother died at age 15 and was not able to help because they didn't have 911, which according to my calculations would have been in 1976. This is not true. 911 was established nationwide in 1968. I reviewed Stephanie's program completions. She stated that she needed to turn her life around. Why did it take so long? She didn't complete her recovery courses until 2014, 2015. She was sentenced in 1996. That's 18 years. If she wanted to change her life around, how come she didn't participate sooner? She completed 11 courses 1 month prior to her hearing in 2021. In my personal opinion, Stephanie didn't make any effort to transform her life during the first 20 years of incarceration. It's only the past 7 years that she's made an effort to transform herself. Only when she realized she could possibly get early release. I have tremendous respect and admiration to the members of this board, the Louisiana Parole Project, for the efforts to help Stephanie reform. I would like to thank the state and St. Martin Parish crime victim support groups in helping me in these past 7 years. We oppose the early release of Stephanie. I hope and pray that she has truly reformed herself, although I do have apprehension based on my earlier statements. A lot has changed in this society over the past 27 years. I have concerns about her ability to earn enough income to support herself. I understand that she will be given housing and additional support. What happens once she is on her own and can't afford rent, utilities, food, and transportation on her own? I know I was a single mother raising 2 children on my own. We should be informed of any action prior to hearing to know what goals are for Stephanie to be successful if she is released, not at the time of the hearing when we don't have a chance to respond. I would like to request stipulations if this board agrees to Stephanie's request for early release. Number 1, that she cannot visit or live in St. Martin Parish or any adjacent parishes, including St. Mary Parish. These are the primary parishes that our family lives in. We should never be subject to the chance of any social encounter. Number 2, that an appointed member of our family receive regular updates on Stephanie, at least once a month. Number 3, that Stephanie should not be allowed to be on any social media platform, such as Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, or Instagram. We should not be subject to any social encounters. To me, this is just as serious as visiting or living in our surrounding areas. This is also not a good environment for Stephanie to be subject to or get involved in any negative comments or feedback. As a Christian family, we have forgiven Stephanie many years ago. As a Christian, that is what you're raised to do. And being involved in the murder of my grandfather, but you never forget. We pray for you, Stephanie, and we hope that you truly repented and have given your life to Christ to be a good Christian and help others to be born. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Blanchard. We appreciate the thought you put into that statement.
Ma'am,
We appreciate the thought you put into that, sharing that with us.
thank you. All right, Stephanie, what statement would you like to make before we turn it over to Mr. Lancaster?
To the Honorable Parole Board and the Blanchard family. I have spent years thinking about everything that led me to be here for over 27 years. From the minute I woke up in a cell in Tennessee, I began searching myself, determined to fix every broken thing inside of me. Please understand that I realize no matter how broken I was or how much I've done during this time to fix me, I can never replace what the Blanchard family lost. However, in an effort to make atonement for my involvement in that tragic day, I have taken every soft skill class, gotten multiple vocational and educational diplomas, volunteered my time to serve the LCIW community, deepened my relationship with God, and poured myself into numerous other inmates in an attempt to help them realize there is a better way than the path I so stupidly and willingly chose. I am an active peer minister. I'm assigned to the Reentry Workforce Program as a mentor. I have also taken a number of younger inmates with long sentences under my wing in order to help them make better choices. I can tell you honestly, there are, I'm sure, broken parts of me that need to be addressed. But the two main things that were my repeated downfalls, codependency and drug addiction, I have done everything possible to recognize and overcome them. In the residential drug abuse program, RDAP class that I facilitate in the reentry program, I drill into the mentees what they're facing when they re-enter society from my own experiences. I cannot change 1 minute of my past, but I have done everything possible to attempt to prepare fully and completely for the future. All I'm asking is for the opportunity to show who I am today is no longer even remotely connected to the person who was arrested over 27 years ago. And thank you for this opportunity.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Mr. Lancaster.
Yes, Mr. Natsa. Stephanie and I were talking prior to the hearing this morning, and she has been in school consistently since 2009. First at the Baptist Theological Seminary, and then moving forward with her current studies at Tulane. She has plans. Her education's been extremely important to her, transformative to her. One thing that wasn't mentioned at the hearing is that if she is released, she will continue and finish her degree at Tulane. She's had conversations with Tulane as well as Operation Rescue, who is sponsoring that Tulane program, and they're committed to her finishing that degree. Since the time in which she was incarcerated, the state recognized her lessened culpability by offering the plea of manslaughter. She took that plea, and on entering prison, she started programming right away. In 97, anger management, Louisiana Technical College, Westside Campus diploma in 98, some substance abuse courses even very, very early on, and has continued in her taking advantage of the programming, addressing the issues of her substance abuse from the very beginning of her incarceration. For the reasons that I articulated in the brief I submitted, as well as the information that the committee heard at this morning's hearing, we respectfully request that she be granted today under whatever conditions you deem appropriate. Oh, just one final thing, and I know the board is aware, the committee is aware that her adjusted date is next year. And one thing that a discretionary release today, one very important thing that it offers is that Stephanie is very well respected here at LCIW among the inmate population. She serves as a mentor, a teacher, editor of Unveiled magazine, and as the committee's well aware, a very important role that the committee has is really demonstrating that when inmates do the work, they put in the work in their programming, they get their education, they follow the rules, that enhances institutional compliance among all of the inmates within the institution. And so a discretionary release today would signal to all of the other women here at LCIW that if they do the same, they one day have a chance for early release on parole. For those reasons, we respectfully request that this committee grant her parole.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Grosjean.
Professor Lancaster, did I read somewhere in your brief there is some employment involved with the studies at Tulane?
Not in my brief. There is a letter from Operation Rescue as well as a letter from Professor at Tulane. The parole project, will coordinate on ensuring that she finishes those courses and also, coordinate on employment as well. I'm not aware of any employment directly from the Tulane program. I don't believe there is, Mr. Roche, but we'll work to get her employed.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we are prepared to vote. And Ms. King, I did take note of the strong opposition that was expressed to your early release, and you were made aware of that at your last hearing. But I also noted your proximity of your good time date, which is July of next year. And I looked to see what it was, what impressed me, I guess, is that since your last hearing, which was when 2021, you didn't let that disappointment affect you. You kept working and you kept working hard. And I believe that you have really worked hard to prepare for your release. You have a low risk score. You've got excellent programming. The warden speaks highly of you. And you have a good transition plan. I have a lot of confidence in the parole projects. So my vote today would be to grant your release to the parole project plan, and to add special conditions, some of which were requested by the Blanchard family. First, you would have no contact with the victim's family. You may not live in the St. Martin parish or adjacent parishes, and you will not be allowed on any social media as long as you're under supervision. You're to have, or rather, you will be expected to perform 8 hours of community service per month. You've done that within your prison community, and so that should not be difficult for you to accomplish. So I wish you well. Good luck, Mrs. Wells.
Ms. King, you did a great home. You healed yourself and now you're helping others. And that's all we can ask. And to the Blanchard family, I was so glad to hear that you all have forgiven her. I'm so glad to hear that. And that's all we can ask. But you can't redo it. I voted for you last time, and I was so encouraged that I can extend that same grant again today. And so my vote is to grant as well with the same special condition that's been outlined. But I grant you conditionally after you complete victim awareness on 9/20 of 2023. And the special conditions are requested by the Blanchard family. I concur.
Mr. Roche?
Ms. King, I was not on your original panel, but I read the reasons why you were granted by the two persons that voted for you, and I agree with them. And I'd like to add some conditions. A curfew from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. and NAAA meetings as directed by your parole office. Good luck. Our vote is to grant.
Be granted parole. Good
Thank
luck.
you.